So what's up, Shauna? Thanks a million for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. So how have you found training so far with during COVID and lockdown and stuff?
Yeah, it's actually been fine. I'm still able to get all the training sessions that I need in, and then I just come home to the baby. So I think I would have been doing the same thing whether we were in lockdown or not. So my life hasn't really changed much. I think I'm still able to do what I want to do. So luckily enough.
Yeah. Is most of your training happening kind of in the kickboxing gym, because obviously you have access there as opposed to the MMA gym?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm happy with how training's going. The progression and the recovery of after giving birth as well, like it kind of happened quicker than I thought. So when this show came up, I was like, I think I'll be all right. I was planning on fighting in May or June, but then when I went back training and I kind of like felt myself like rolling and stuff, and I was like, I thought I'd be a lot further behind, but I was grand. So I was like, no, I'll take a fight sooner. As soon as I heard about it, I jumped on it.
Yeah. How has it been balancing training and the baby and all? Has it been what you expected, like, or?
Like my mom and sister help a lot, so I'm really lucky in that sense. So like my mom will probably mind them in the morning and Nicole will mind them in the evening, or they kind of take turns between them. So I'm very lucky that I have them, because I wouldn't be able to get back fighting competitively as fast if I didn't have them helping me out. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. Do you think it's helped, like having that goal and all that, like that fight straight away, like it's not lingering on, like, to come back, like you're kind of straight back in?
Exactly, yeah. Like, because I think I was like going mad not being able to train properly. Like, I obviously trained my whole pregnancy, but like not that intensity, like red zone and sparring and rolling, and like I missed it so much. So I kind of just nearly jumped straight back into it, to be honest. I went back training after 4 weeks, and my first class back, I was rolling. Like I was just like, yeah, that's fine. But yeah, no, it's like it's all right. Like I feel like it's the same. Obviously, I have a baby there or whatever, but like it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just normal now. I feel like I don't know what life was before having him. Do you know what I mean? It feels like he's always been there. Like he's just fit in perfect.
He's getting into the gym early as well.
Yeah, he has a gi and everything. Yeah.
So actually, so how did you get started in kickboxing? Like where did the kind of journey of martial arts begin for you?
So my dad was my kickboxing coach. So my dad opened Talent Martial Arts. I think it was actually the year I was born, in '93. So I was just like grew up in kickboxing really. Like, I started when I was 3, and even before that I would have been in the gym anyways, like, like in classes or whatever, messing. So yeah, I started from 3 years of age, and then like I started competing at probably about 7 or 8. And then when I was about 12, I kind of took it properly serious. Like I went to international tournaments and worlds and Europeans and that. So from like 12 onwards, it was when I kind of leveled up and started taking it a lot more serious.
Yeah. Did you play any other sports, or were you just always kickboxing?
I done Irish dancing for a few years. And I was actually all right at that. I won All Ireland champions and stuff. But I kind of got to the age where I had to kind of pick which one I wanted to do to kind of be good in one. And I chose kickboxing. When I was younger, I didn't actually really like kickboxing as much. I used to kind of be like a messer in the class. Like I got suspended loads of times. My dad like, get out, you're done. But then I kind of like, when I got that little bit older, I kind of just fell in love with it and was traveling all the time, competing, and loved that atmosphere and vibe.
Yeah, I suppose I would imagine it was always going to be hard to, like, if you like, say you didn't even join kickboxing, you couldn't really quit, I suppose, like, either.
No, my dad actually never really put that much pressure on me. He didn't. Like, it was kind of just like, you can do it or you don't have to. Like, it was never like, you have to do this. No, he was actually, my dad's quite laid back, like in coaching and stuff. So like he never like forced me to do it ever. Like I just liked doing it then after a certain age, and it was just a huge part of my life. It was probably the most, like, even in school and all, I kind of hated school, but like I obviously done it because I had to. Went to college and done like leisure management, and then I felt like when I done that, it was like too much sport. Like, so then I didn't want my job to be related to sports, because I was like, I feel like my whole life was just sport then. So I didn't end up, I done the leisure management office job because I kind of balanced. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, 1 second, yeah. You can still hear me?
Yeah, I think you're frozen though. Am I frozen?
No, you're all good, yeah. I think it's all good. Yeah, my laptop seems, yeah, I think everything is good there. So, But like, so like when you were competing, even like when you were younger, were you still successful? Like, were you still winning even as a kid, even if you weren't?
Yeah. I just kind of didn't really like care. Like I still won by not like I still trained like probably twice a week, but like I think then I was probably around 11 or 12 when I started kind of like training every day and taking it more serious. And but like even before that, yeah, I think I was like I took to it fairly easy. Like I'm not gonna say like I obviously still had to train hard to get where I got, but like because I started so young, I think my body knew. And when I was that bit younger, but I think I remember there was one European Championships. I can't remember where it was, but I lost in the semi final, and that kind of made me be like, right now I need to train and I want to win always, because that was that kind of one loss that kind of got me where I was like, no, I need to stop messing in class and start taking it a little bit more serious. And I kind of fell in love with it from there.
Yeah. Well, that was that your first European Championships, or had you kind of won one or two? Like,
Yeah, it was my first WAKO European Championship. So before WAKO only came in for juniors. I don't know even what year it was, but that was my first year going to it. But it was the first year that there was a WAKO for juniors, and before that we used to do WKAs. So that, I think that was always just worlds. There was never Europeans in that. That was just all. I think they were all just there was a world every year, and that was just it.
Jesus, worlds every year.
Yeah, I
It's
think it was. Now I can't
tough
remember,
going,
but
isn't
like
it?
I
Like,
don't remember there being a Europeans for that. But maybe I just wasn't paying attention because I didn't really have an interest in it at that stage. I just kind of walked along and just went with it.
yeah. Were you ever more like even then? Like, were you ever more like more points, more continuous, or was it always you just did both?
I think like when I was younger, I always done both, and then for a couple of years, I think when I went senior, I went senior when I was like 15, and then I think I focused on points more for a good few years. Um, I still done the odd bit of continuous, like probably twice or three times a year, but mainly my main thing would have been points. And then towards the end of my kickboxing career, I started doing continuous again.
Yeah, yeah. What's it like? One thing I always say this to like anybody I've had on from kickboxing, like I always think it's mad that like the Irish Open is seen as being like as big as the World Championships. Like, you know, I always
Ah,
thought,
yeah, like there'd be more people in my division in the Irish Open than there would be in the Worlds.
yeah,
Like definitely, because like I think like in the world you're only allowed the top one from every country, whereas the Irish Open, like sometimes I feel like let's say the national championships in Italy, like that'd be harder than some other tournaments because there's so many good Italians in each division. So like in the Irish Open there'd be like 7 Italians and then like loads of Hungarians and loads, so there's a lot more. So it is tougher because like although they might not qualify for the World or Europeans, they're still really good.
yeah. I like that you have people because like you can do to the Worlds, Europeans. I would imagine like you can only do that one division you're selected for, whereas the Irish Open you can do a couple of divisions. Like you can do two or three divisions.
Exactly, yeah. Like I feel like when I used to do the Irish Open, you'd do like two senior, two junior, points continuous, team events, grand champions, junior grand champion, senior grand champion. Like you just do all the divisions because you're like, it's right on your doorstep. Why not?
Yeah, like
Like you'd have so many fights in one weekend, but it's so good, like because you can get so much experience from just one tournament.
yeah, all, and like I said, all high level matches as well, like all top people.
Yeah, 100%. You do ITF Taekwondo, don't you?
ITF Taekwondo, yeah, yeah.
That's quite similar to continuous kickboxing, isn't it?
Yeah, I've done the Irish Open once or twice.
Yeah,
I have the last couple of years, but I think after lockdown, I think I'll definitely jump back in and give it a go because you know it's to get as much competitions in as I can because
yeah, because you could
uh,
just enter into like two or three divisions and just
yeah,
go for
yeah. I haven't done points now. I've only done the continuous, but I might even try the points. We'll see.
it.
It'll
Just
be an
jump in them
experience.
all.
It'll be an experience, like you know. So
Yeah.
did you ever win the Grand Champion event? Did you? You didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I won the Grand Champion, yeah. I don't know what year it was. I can't remember. But yeah, I did win it. Yeah.
yeah.
That was like that's a good win, I suppose, the Grand Champion and that. I was delighted with that.
Yeah, like you said, like even like you see in the men's divisions, like so Raymond Daniels and all competing in there, like you know, so like to
Yeah.
win an
It's
Irish
always
Open,
a
Grand
good
Champion,
challenge.
like, yeah,
Fighting someone like you can fight someone that's like 90 kilos or something and you'd be like 60 and it's like what's up. But like I don't really think it matters in points. It's mad. Like I never really like I think obviously male or female weight is different, but like in the female divisions, like I'd never mind fighting someone heavier than me. Or like I
Okay, we're back. uh, yeah, so in terms of like Grand Champion, Actually, I think you're actually saying that sometimes you don't really notice the difference in points fighting like the bigger people, the smaller people. It's all kind of fairly similar, especially like the
Yeah,
female
like
division.
it doesn't really bother me. I feel like when you're fighting someone that's heavier, you have more of a target, like because they're normally bigger. So, like smaller people are actually probably worse. Like the little 50-kilo fighters, they're just like bing, 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 bing. Whereas the heavier ones are slower. So yeah, kind of. I don't know. I think they're easier anyways most
Yeah.
of the time.
Yeah, I kind of think that even into like Taekwondo, like the -50s are small, and then like there's like the middle divisions where like there's not massive difference in heights. It just builds are kind of different, you know what I mean? And then you
Yeah.
get to like the heavier divisions, and then that's when they kind of just they jump up in height. Then, but like there's like maybe 3 divisions ish where it's like there's not massive different in height. Like there's a bit here or there, but it's not it's not a big like jump.
Yeah, yeah. No, it doesn't really bother me. Like I think I'm used to always fighting taller people anyways, because I'm normally the short one in the division. So I'm used to that. But when they're that little extra bit taller, like I don't know, like you're used to sparring people that height and training and stuff, so it doesn't really make much of a difference in that. In
Yeah,
kickboxing, in MMA now it would be a different story.
yeah, for sure.
You're fighting someone that was 90 kilos, imagine. They just sit on you.
Just sit there, yeah, just like literally sit on you, like literally sit on.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be like, ugh.
But
It's a different story there.
so then, like, what was the when did you say you started then kind of competing in World and European Championships? Oh, 12 was that it? Kind of a
Yeah, it was about 12. Yeah. Well, I was 12 when I started competing in WAKO Kickboxing, but that was when I kind of first started. Then before that, we used to do WKS. And then I fought in WKCs as well, but I don't really think the level of that is like I don't really consider that as a world title in comparison to the WAKO world titles that I have, do you know what I mean? Even though it is for the people that's won it, but like the WAKO one just means more to me, you know.
Yeah. Did you feel like there was a different level like in between the WACO competitions and like the other ones like WK and WKC? Did you feel like once you entered a WACO like this is a little bit harder than before?
1000%, yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Like I feel like in the WKCs and stuff, like they don't have as many countries. So like I don't know. It's just the standard definitely there's a huge difference in the standard. But like at the end of the day, it's still a world title, you know, like it's still recognized as a world title. So like I could probably say like I'm actually really many times did I win the WKCs? I think 6 times in like points and continuous. I competed in it 3 times, so I won points and continuous both the 3 times. So like I could say I have another 6 world titles, but my WAKO ones mean so much more to me than the WKC ones.
Yeah. But it's just such a shame, like, and like that there's so many like kickboxing organizations. Like we have it as well, even with ITF. Like there's so many ITFs, and like you have people there. Like there's some of those organizations are very good, like as well. And like the world titles are just as much, but then you have the ones that aren't as good, and like they're still calling themselves world champions. So it's a little bit frustrating at times, isn't it? Like it'd just be much better if there was like,
you know, like someone said,
and you're the world champion.
yeah. I think it's like it's more frustrating when you know, like you tell someone you do kickboxing, they're like, "Oh, do you know this person?" You're like, "No." They're like, "But they're a world champion," and you're like, "Oh, are they?" It's like, "Oh, okay." But like at the end of the day, it is still a world title, so you can't really take it away from someone. But there's just, I think there is different levels, and I think if like kickboxing wants to get to an Olympic level, they need to kind of just cancel out all those other ones. Like there needs to be just one, like the way WTF Taekwondo is, like there's just one and that's it. Like that's the level for the Olympics, and you can't go to another one and be like, oh well, I won this, so I should qualify for the Olympics. I think that's kind of why kickboxing is like not struggling. I know they are taking definitely huge steps forward, but like I think that is a huge factor in it itself. Like the way you could just say, oh, I'm going to have a world championship tomorrow, and then you create an organization. It's like, how can that just happen?
hang a few flags at the tournament and call it the World Championships.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I remember it was Adam Shelley actually was telling me before, like we had the Worlds in Ireland in 2017, like they were doing some fundraising, and obviously it was the first time RITF had a Worlds, and like they were doing fundraising, and this one, oh, do you know so and so, like, he was at the World Championships, and like you're saying, oh, they were on in Ireland before, and Adam was kind of like, well, you can't really argue and say like you're not going to get into it, like she's going,
it's awkward, like when someone brings it up, you're just like, ugh. But I actually went down and watched. It was like I think the final of the team event, whatever day that was on, when it was on City West. It was actually good. I watched the girls' team event and they won, didn't they, that year?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
won.
yeah,
The
yeah.
first time the girls had won.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Our
No,
team events are the best. Good crack.
it's the best. It's the best buzz I find. Like, you know, it's like everybody just gets involved. Like, even, you know, just the crowd or whatever. It's like there's just a buzz around for the team event.
Yeah, 100%. And like it's just, I don't know, or even tag teams. Do you do them in Taekwondo?
No, we don't do. It's just that the 5
The
team.
actual team events, yeah. Tag
Yeah.
team is fun as well.
Yeah, we've done like a couple of different like where you've had 3 people on a team, and then we've had like where it was a weight limit on the team. It's like the males couldn't be over like 300 kilos, and then they had like the lightest fighter fights the lightest fighter, the middle, and then the heaviest. So
Oh, right.
that was kind of interesting as well. That was good. But
Yeah, I think it's actually, I love the part of team events where, well, I suppose for the women it's different because there's always only one girl on the team unless it's just the pure ladies team event. But for the fellas, like you can fight anyway. And then when it is the ladies one, like the 50 kilo could fight the 70 kilo fighter, and it's just like mad. It's like Grand Champion again, I suppose.
it is. Yeah, I think they're on with kickboxing now. The score continues, doesn't it? Like it's a rolling score.
It depends on the tournament. Some tournaments do it off wins, and some of them do it on points. Normally when it's like the men and women one, like so before men and one girl, that one would normally go on points. But the, like let's say when the Irish Open, they have like a ladies one, so it's 3 girls in team, that goes by win. So if there's, I think it's more so the competition one's faster, I suppose, because if 2 people win, then you don't have to go into the next one and it's stopped after 2 fights.
Yeah.
You know, rather than the 3 fights going on. So I suppose it's probably more for timekeeping for them.
Yeah.
When they do it that way.
Yeah, because actually, it's about, when the World Championships were on, and the kickboxing ones actually run in City West, I think maybe 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
I went up for I was there the last day. I think it was the last day, and I saw it was the team event. It was actually happening. As you said it, like it's mad. I actually went to them ones, and the event I saw was the team event. So
really.
Yeah, and I thought that like that was rolling score, and it was different. There was a good buzz about it. Like that was the first time I'd seen that the team like that did it be like you said the 4 men and the one girl.
Yeah, it's always like that at the World. I think it should always be just girls in the run and boys in the run, because it's just like, I don't know. Like I used to, when it'd be the girls, they'd always leave the girls to last because you try and catch up on the points, or else if they toss the coin, then it depends on the tactics of the team, I suppose. Sometimes they throw you out first, but like, or then they could throw you out at the end to try and catch it up on points. You're like, I'm down 10 points, I have to get it back in 2 minutes.
Yeah, tough one. A tough one, especially when
all the pressure.
So then, did you go away before? Just before, like you went to the Worlds in Hungary. Did you go to Taekwondo kind of before that, or was it after?
Before I was down. The year that I went to Hungary, that was the same year that I went to the Worlds for Taekwondo in Korea. So I think that was in the June, and then I fought. Yeah. So I fought in the June. I think it was June. At 53, and then I fought in the November for kickboxing at 55.
Oh, cool.
That year. And then that was my last kickboxing tournament. Yeah.
What kind of made you? What made you have a go at Taekwondo?
I wanted to go to the Olympics, and I knew it was never going to be in kickboxing in my time. So, and I had kind of done everything that I wanted to do in kickboxing. Like I won the Worlds, Europeans, Combat Games, Irish Open, like all the big tournaments I had won, sometimes more than once and a couple of times. So I was kind of just getting I wasn't getting bored as such, but I just wanted a new challenge. And I always wanted to go to the Olympics, and they just kept saying, it'll be in the next one, it'll be in the next one. It's so close, and it just never happened. So I was like, I'm not getting any younger and I really want to go. So I was like, I'm going to give Taekwondo a go. I seen kind of the likes of Charlie Maddox and all that done it, switched from kickboxing to Taekwondo, and like she was kind of the one that kind of really inspired me, like seeing her do so well. So I thought I'd give it a go, and the best club that was in Ireland, well, like with Jack and stuff, was literally at my doorstep. So I messaged Rob, sent him an email, and he was like, yeah, pop up, and then kind of just went from there, start competing and learning the rules and everything, trying not to punch people in the face.
Yeah, did you find that one a hard one? Like no punching. Well, I suppose there is punching, but no punching to the face.
Yeah, very hard, especially at the start. You know, like because like they'd be kicking you in the head, and you'd be like, and then you're like, oh, I can punch you in the head, damn it. But Yeah, no, I think like after a while I definitely got used to my first few competitions. I did get warnings. Like, and then I start like getting better at like not punching in the face, but I'd be punching in the neck, and like you can only do it on the body armor. So like it did take a while, but I got there eventually. But I always found it kind of strange kicking on the both legs, because like I kicked on just my left leg for years in kickboxing. Like you'd never really kick off the back leg in kickboxing.
Yeah.
So I used to find that kind of strange as well. But yeah, I competed loads, and I loved like the experience of it, but it just wasn't really for me. I kind of I'd done it for probably a year and a half, and I think I kind of stopped then. It was just, I don't know, didn't suit me. I think like I missed punching. The kicking style for it, it's like sometimes you can get a score and it's not like a textbook kick as such. Like, you know, like the way the kicks are, like they're just once you connect the magnets. And I think I was just like, I couldn't get like everyone that was doing it for years, they kind of had their little sneaky ways, I suppose. Like everyone kind of like in kickboxing, I would have had them, like, you know, like little ways that you'd know what to do and to get little sneaky scores or to waste some time, or like, you know, like they knew it because like they were doing it like for as long as I was doing kickboxing, whereas I felt like I was kind of behind. I started in 2017, so that was in the middle of an Olympic cycle, because it would have been a year behind already, because the 2016 I missed. And then like, I don't know, I was always the shortest one, and then like I probably would have had to really fight 49 kilos to be anyway, like, and I struggled to make 53. So like I didn't struggle, but like it was a long road of dieting and being miserable. Deprived of food. So whereas like in kickboxing and like in MMA, like I wouldn't need to drop down to that low of a weight, because I think like being stronger and stuff is better. So yeah, like I the experience that I gained and the countries that I got to go and see and the training that I had, like I trained with the Korean team when we were in Korea, and like I got to train with loads of different people throughout the time that I was doing it, and it was great, and I learned loads from it, like different kicking techniques, and definitely built the strength in my legs better as well. So it was a good experience, but it just wasn't for me to continue in.
Yeah. And you got to quite a few countries as well, didn't you? Like you did get to travel around a
We
bit.
were
Right?
away
Yeah.
bleeding every like twice a month nearly, because I was trying to like build me ranking points to qualify for the Olympics. I knew I wasn't going to qualify on points because I was so far behind, but the more points I had for the qualifier, so you can qualify, they do like the Europeans, Pan American, like, you know, like the qualifiers. So my way of qualifying would have been through the European qualifiers, but like the more ranking points I had for that, the better seeds I would have got. So I was trying to build and build and build that, and I probably maybe didn't spend as much time on progressing, because I was constantly maybe cutting weight and thinking about the competitions rather than actually thinking about getting better, because I competed so much. So that probably would have been a thing that I might have done different if I could. But at the time, I thought what I was doing was right, and I suppose I did learn in that way as well, because I was getting competition time in, but maybe just a little bit too much, because Jack was going to so many competitions because he was building his ranking points as well, and I was just going with him. So but it was good. It was good still.
A tough, I imagine, though, because like obviously, like you have to pretty much be full time and competing so regular, and it's very hard to be full time if you know no funding or anything like that. Like you can't. It doesn't sound like you can be very part time. You know,
No,
taekwondo.
it was.
Trying to
It
get
was
the Olympics.
like you're training like a professional athlete. Like that's the way it is. Like you're training twice a day, and you're traveling and cutting the weight, and you're doing it all out of your own pocket as well.
Yeah, that's always the challenge, isn't it? Same with
Yeah,
kickboxing, same with taekwondo. It's always the challenge.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So then, when you went from taekwondo back to kickboxing, was the goal to win just another two
So that
two
was
world titles and then bounce again, or
no. So I was still doing taekwondo when I competed at the Worlds for kickboxing. So that was my last one of them, and I was still. So that was in the November, and then I was planning on just doing taekwondo then. I stopped doing taekwondo in probably the March of the following year. And then I went and I started jiu-jitsu then in the April.
yeah.
So
And was that it was in Hungary? Was that the first time you had won a world title in both of them, in like continuous and
in
points?
senior level, yeah, I had only
Yeah.
won continuous in the junior level, yeah. Yeah, I hadn't actually. That was my first time ever competing in the world in continuous in senior.
And won it.
Yeah. Yeah. My first fight was probably my final, to be honest. I got hungry in the first fight because I wasn't seeded, because I didn't compete in I was in a lower weight class. I used to compete in 60 kilos most of the time. And that year I went down to 55 because I was fighting 53 and 57 with Taekwondo. So I was like being lower. So I was like, there's no point in fighting 60 kilos. Try and keep the weight down. So I competed in 55 and that. So I wasn't seeded in the points or continuous because all my rankings would have been in the 60 kilo division. And then for the continuous, I didn't have any because I never done it at senior level. So yeah, my first fight was probably the toughest. Like, my final was hard, don't get me wrong, but my first fight, I found it tougher than my final.
Yeah.
So when I won that, I was like crying and everything. I was like, ah.
And you had eight fights in total or something like that? Right?
Yeah, I think 8, yeah.
That's a crazy amount across a few days. Like, that's...
Yeah. Well, I've done definitely more in other tournaments, but I suppose the full 3 rounds, and it obviously is a higher level. Like, sometimes if you're at like an Irish Open or like in a different World Cup, like, you might have a couple of easy fights and then you'll have hard fights, whereas kind of every fight in the World Championships is hard, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh, 8 tough fights. Yeah, it was good though. I like it kind of, whatever way it worked out, I always had a little bit of a gap in between. So I'd have like me points are continuous in the morning, then the opposite one in the evening. So it was all right. I think one of me fights, me and Nicole were actually fighting at the same time. It was mad.
Yeah, how was that? Was it hard to not be looking at her, not
Yeah, she was fighting, like, who did she fight? And she ended up beating her. I don't know, it was whoever won the Worlds the year before. And like, I was looking over at the corner of my eye and I'm like, ah! Seeing her on the other side of the mat, it was mad.
Who was your dad coaching then?
Yeah, and then he ran over to me after, because her fight had started first. So and it went to sudden death, I think it was, or extra time or something like that. So yeah, he stayed with her and then came over to mine after. So John Mackey was coaching me.
Yeah. John's been on I've had John on the podcast.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Well,
have a listen.
Ages ago now. It was episode 3, I think. So he was back quite a while. But
we're at the very start.
Yeah, I might actually see what he come on again and talk about some stuff.
Yeah, John. He has a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, very good.
So yeah, so I think why I get John on again. But yeah, definitely, like you said, very knowledgeable sports science, and when it comes to like the technical stuff as well. Like, so he's very knowledgeable.
Bit of crack as well when you're training with him.
Yeah, I've never actually got to try with him, but he was a good bit of crack on the podcast. I enjoyed chatting with him. So yeah.
Yeah, he's sound. Shout out to John.
Yeah, Brian John. So then, like, when she said you're going to go to jiu-jitsu, so the plan wasn't MMA then, was it? It was jiu-jitsu was the plan after kickboxing.
No, it wasn't at all. I don't even know how it really happened, to be honest. Paddy was changing gyms, and they were training in the same place that we were training for Taekwondo. And I was looking at the class after one of my Taekwondo classes, and I was like, Jesus, that's mad. What the fuck are they doing? Like, it was just like, because I had never watched it before, and I was like, but like, I had an interest in it. I was like, that looks cool, but I didn't have a clue what was going on. Like, I didn't know what was good or what was bad or whatever. And then, like, I hadn't even really watched, like, I wasn't really a fan of MMA. Like, I used to watch Conor fight the odd time or whatever, but like, it wouldn't be one that I'd watch a whole show or whatever. Like, I'd watch 1 or 2 fights and then I'd be like, oh, whatever. But yeah, so I was like, right, I'll just do jiu-jitsu and I'll actually just take some time off competing. I'll just learn a new sport, and it'll be like, I always thought jiu-jitsu was like relaxing or something, but it's not. I don't know why I had that in my head, but I was like, I'll do that now and it'll be nice. And like, yeah, I'll go. And then I done one jiu-jitsu class, and like, I hadn't got a clue. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, this is mad. It's like a different language, even the way they like speak and stuff. I was just like, what is this? But then I done my second one. So I went on a Thursday and then I went on a Friday to a jiu-jitsu class, and I was leaving. And then there was an MMA class starting, and Paddy was away. I don't know where he was, but I think someone was competing or something like that. And Kiefer Crosby was taking the class, and he was like, do you want to jump in? And I was like, no. Like, I was like, I don't have a clue. And he was like, jump in, come on. And I was like, I don't even have gloves. Like, and he was like, just jump in, come on. So I went in, done the class, and I hadn't got a clue what was going on. Like, I didn't even know what an underhook was. They were doing all wall work and all. And I was like, what is this? Like, help. But yeah, and then I kind of just started doing the MMA classes from there, and I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matter
And
what's
it
that?
all just
Yeah.
led one into
How to
another. Like
start.
as soon as I started like getting the jiu-jitsu, and I was like, I know I want to do this. Like I want to go to the UFC. Like that was, I knew straight away. Like as much as I used to get like flung on my head, like when I started doing the sparring and stuff, like everyone used to just double leg me and shoot me on my head, and like for ages, like I just got battered for months and months and months. And then Paddy was like to me, do you want to have a fight? And I was like, do you think I'm ready? And he was like, yeah. So I had my first fight that January. So I was in it, well, a couple of months, and I done the fight in January. And then that year I ended up having 8 fights. No, 7, sorry, 7.
Yeah, very active, very active. Well,
Yeah.
what was it like being a beginner again? Because obviously going from like kickboxing to taekwondo, like you like you're not really a beginner, I suppose. You know, there's a lot of stuff you would have been able to do, but like you said, going from kicking to rolling on the floor, it's much different. What was it like being a beginner again?
Yeah, it was, I think like I kind of went in being like, I am a beginner in this sport. Like I wasn't like stubborn about the fact that like I had like so much experience in striking and whatever. I was like, I'm a new person at this sport. So like I got bashed. Like I still get bashed. Like I don't think you ever stop getting bashed in jiu-jitsu. It's just one of them sports that it's like you're constantly learning. I think that's why I love it so much, because every time you go you learn something new, and it's just on your brain constantly. Like you'd be just thinking about it 24/7, and you're like, oh, what about this, and what if you put yourself here? And so like I think I went in with the right mind frame of not being like, oh, I'm shit at this. Like I left it, like I just done jiu-jitsu and wrestling for ages. Like I stopped down striking and everything. Like I done the striking in my MMA sparring, but I didn't actually do striking classes. I just done the jiu-jitsu and wrestling classes twice a day, every day for months. That's what I still do now. Basically, I do very little striking, to be honest. I do mainly wrestling and jiu-jitsu, but I just went flat at it. And like I think like because I just kept going, that's when you kind of learn. There's like a day where it kind of clicks with you, where you kind of understand it that little bit better. You still, I don't think you'll ever understand it 100%, because it's just like one of them sports. But I remember when I was kind of like, right, okay, like I kind of know what's going on now.
I like you said, I imagine like even with the MMA sparring, like they obviously know, like even in the gym, like they know, like, well, you're going to be good standing up. So like there's that, they want to take you to the ground. So it's like they just trying to keep taking it down, because that's where it's like
Yeah,
you don't have as big an advantage.
100%. But now I'm at the stage where like I'm comfortable everywhere. So I think like it's more like an MMA fight now rather than a striker and a jiu-jitsu, like we're at would have been at the start. But yeah, no, it's gone good.
Yeah. So how long then would you have been training then when you went to the IMMAFs?
So the IMMAF, the first one I went to, I would have been just doing it just over a year. Would it have been? It was in the June, and I started in the April the year before. Yeah, so a year and 2 months.
Yeah, not a long time. And to beat you beat the world champion at that, didn't you? Random.
The first fight, the Pan American champion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But still, like, not training that long to go and be the champion.
yeah. No, it was good. It was good. I was happy with, like, obviously my final didn't go the way I wanted to, but I still gained a lot of experience, in that week. Like I got the 3 fights in, and a lot, like there were full 3 rounds each fight as well. So I got a lot of time, which is what I want. Like it's just kind of about getting the most time and fighting every fighter that you can, so that when I go professional, that I know what it's like. Like that's why my next fight is like, I wanted to fight a good grappler, and I'm so excited that, like, I was actually supposed to fight somebody else, but I think she was sick at the end of last year, and she still hasn't recovered or whatever. So she ended up pulling out, and then it got switched to this fight. But like I'm actually glad, like, because I wanted to fight a grappler, like a good grappler, before going pro. Like obviously people I fought before were good grapplers, but I think she's just a grappler, whereas they were kind of more well-rounded people and stuff like that. But I want to prove myself on the ground that I am a mixed martial artist,
Yeah. Are you planning on doing another IMMAF championships, or is it kind of just get a couple of fights and go pro?
I don't know really what the story is with this year. Like there's one scheduled for August, and if that goes ahead, I will be gone. But I just don't really know whether it will or not,
Yeah.
I think for the first half of this year, I think it's kind of just seeing what's happening with COVID and that, you know. Like I have a plan in my head, but whether it goes to plan or not, like I can't really control it. No one can, you know. Like last year, that was what my plan was. I was looking to have like 3 fights, go to the Europeans, go to the Worlds, and then go pro. But then I got pregnant, so that didn't go to plan either. But I wouldn't have been able to do that either way, so I didn't really miss out on much, you know.
Yeah.
I think there was only one show last year that I would have missed out on, the Clan Wars. That was just before Christmas. That was the only one that I would have missed out on because there was none throughout the whole year. Like I was supposed to fight in the March, 2 weeks after the fight that I had in February, at the end of February, and that was called off because of COVID as well. So like I literally didn't miss out on anything at all.
Yeah, so.
The training, I suppose, but I was still training, and then like obviously not the intensity, but I was watching and learning like in my brain for the whole year as well.
Yeah. And do you feel like at the IMMAFs that you maybe had about, like, you know, if you've, I suppose, came to MMA and you've only had, maybe you had like a fight and or a couple of fights on this kind of Saturday night shows, and then going to a kind of tournament or competition environment where, you know, you're going away and you're a couple of fights every day. Like, did you feel like that kind of experience? Like, I'd imagine like the whole kind of just feel would have been very similar to a kickboxing tournament, like get on the plane, going away, making weight on multiple days, having a fight, get up, fight the next day. You know, do you feel like that it was kind of quite similar?
100%. Yeah, like I think like with all my experience over the years from competing in tournaments, like I just took all that with me. Like I know how to reserve my energy to know that I'm fighting for the whole week and relax. And like you see people still making the mistakes, going walking, going shopping centers, going, it's like, no, I'm chilling, I'll see you later, you go do that. Like the mistakes that people make because they think they're on a holiday. It's not a holiday. Like you're there to fight, you know. The only thing that would have been different would have been the weigh-in every day, because I never had to do that before. With kickboxing, you just weigh in at the start of the week, and then fight. And then with Taekwondo, all your fights are on one day, so you weigh in the day before, and all your fights are on one day. So that was the only kind of difference. But I fought bantamweight, so I was walking around at the time, so that wasn't an issue.
And it is a thing, like, because it is a different mindset, you know, like when you like to the having to compete just like one match on one night, like, and then having to but then like when you have multiple fights on one day or multiple days in a row, like it's a different mindset, isn't it? Like
100%. Like I think as well, even like the crowd, like there's not much of an atmosphere in tournaments, like because like it's all scattered and like, you know, whereas a show everyone's watching you and that's it. Whereas a tournament, there's a few people on at the same time. And I think like some people, I think, get hyped. Like you see that now watching the shows that are behind closed doors. Like you can see certain fighters that aren't as, it's like they get a hype from the audience. Do you know? Whereas like you have to be able to know when you have to switch on and when you're not. And you can't expect an audience to do that for you. You need to do it yourself in your own head.
Yeah. Because I suppose you even get that in the gym. Like, you know, like when you're in the gym, some people are, like sparring is like just like a fight, and then other people is like, it's only training. And then like, you know, you kind of, when you come out to know a crowd, it's kind of like, some people it doesn't matter, and then some people it's like, it's just like the gym, it doesn't really, you know what I mean? It's that thing. It doesn't really matter. But it's like you said, it's hard to flip a switch then and go, oh no, this is the real thing now. So
I think it depends. Like everyone's different. Some people fight better thinking it's like, this is sparring, and some people need to be switched on. It just depends on the person themselves. I think everyone knows the more fights you do, the more you realize what's good for you, what's bad for you, what you like, what you don't like, what you should do before a fight, what you shouldn't do, and you just learn as you go along. And I think I know exactly what I want now, like before a fight, and what I need to do, like because I've had so much experience in that. Well, and I know how to deal with the nerves and, you know, like all that type of thing. Like,
what do you think of the fights? Do you prefer watching the fights with the crowd or without the crowd?
I think with the crowd is obviously better, but it wouldn't faze me fighting with a crowd or without a crowd, but it's obviously better with a crowd. But like I don't think it would have a mental effect differently on me whether there was people there or not, because I fought with loads of people in the room, with very little in the room. Like at the World Championships, you'd imagine that there'd be loads there, but there's actually not. For the juniors there would, because the parents are there and then more family members come, and so there's probably like for one person fighting there's probably like 5 people, and then there's 2 from each country in every division. So the audience for the junior World Championships and Europeans is like huge, and the atmosphere is deadly. But for the seniors, no one really goes with them, so it's just the team, and then normally they're getting ready to fight themselves, so there's never really an atmosphere, do you know? It's a lot quieter, so I'm used to that, so it doesn't, like, wouldn't bother me, like.
And then your next fight's going to be behind closed doors, obviously the one.
Yeah.
So, who are you fighting again? What's her name?
Her name is Kate. She's from England. I don't know what her name is. She's actually Polish, but she lives in England.
Oh yeah. Oh. And it's on Belfast, yeah. Is that?
Yeah. Tam Wars, yeah.
Yeah, and a wrestler. So
Jiu-jitsu, I think, is our kind of, but I do think she does a bit of wrestling as well, yeah. But like, that's all I've been doing since I started is jiu-jitsu and wrestling flat to the mat. And I'm doing it like more than your average person. Like, I'd be doing it twice a day. So it's like my levels have gone up a lot faster than the average person, you know?
Yeah. Do you think it'll take you long to get a submission win?
I have one already.
Oh, you did? It was your first fight?
My third?
It was a rear naked choke, or?
Yeah.
I've definitely seen it.
Yeah. I was buzzing to get that because I wanted to be like, yeah, I actually do jiu-jitsu, because like it's mad. People think, oh, she's a striker, but I do more jiu-jitsu and wrestling than anything else. I think because I have so much experience. Like I obviously still do that little bit of striking to keep it sharp, but I mainly do wrestling and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. That'd be a big benefit though, because like you said, like all your, like if you look at like what you've achieved, like it's all in kickboxing. So straight away people think just striker, but you know, like you said, if you can catch them off guard and have a good ground game, a good grappling game, like you're flying it.
Yeah, 100%.
And how long do you think it'll take for the UFC? Yeah, do you have a plan? Like, is there an ideal world? How many fights?
I think like within the next 2 to 3 years, definitely. I want to be in it before I'm 30 anyways. 100%. I will be like, I'm an active fighter. Like I don't take long breaks in between. So I think I'll get my wins up by 5-0 fairly fast, and then I'm sure I'll be saying hello, Dana.
And do you have a kind of route that you think? Do you think maybe Cage Warriors to the UFC, or is there another route that you think?
Yeah, Cage Warriors is definitely one that's in mind. I think like the shows that are going on over in Dubai and that as well, they're kind of linked in well with the UFC as well now. So either of them, like Cage Warriors, they haven't really had a lot of professional girls in a while, but you don't know what's going to come back around. So Cage Warriors definitely, or Invicta as well, would be one that I'd be thinking of too.
Yeah, Invicta's always a good one. It seems every second female fighter in the UFC has fought an Invicta, so it's definitely
100%. That would be one that Invicta, Cage Warriors, and then maybe Brave or UAE.
Yeah. So it's pro. It's pro. Pro is the plan after this year. Is that it?
Yeah.
So,
no waiting around. I have had a lot of MMA experience as well, and I will have even more by the time I go pro. So when the time's right, Paddy will know, and he'll be like, right, let's go.
Yeah. And was it just by pure coincidence that you ended up training with Paddy like this, that they happened to be training in the same hall that you were doing?
Yeah. And I kind of like seeing he's been where I want to go. So like I knew like he had good experience in the game, and even though I was starting off doing jiu-jitsu, but like he sounds like, I think that's kind of just why I was like, yeah, I'll join that gym.
Yeah, because there's obviously quite a few gyms to choose from around Dublin and that, like, so
I didn't really think twice about it, to be honest. That was just the one that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna join there.
Yeah. So I think you just probably finish up. I tend to ask everybody, if you had to pick a favorite fighter to watch, who would you pick?
Shevchenko.
Yeah. She kind of has that striking background as well, doesn't she?
Yeah. Taekwondo background, I think she comes from, doesn't she?
Yeah. Taekwondo. Yeah. I'm not sure which Taekwondo. They just say Taekwondo. You never know. Is it ITF? Is it WT? You never know. But
no, she's deadly. She's very well rounded, and I'd love to fight her one day.
Oh yeah, you're the first person to say that they'd love to fight.
Yeah, no, I would. I'd love to fight her. I'd love to fight her. She's in my division anyway, so if she's still around when I'm there, I'd love it.
Yeah, with the run she's on, she very well could be, because I don't see anyone beating her too soon.
No. Yeah. The only thing I'm thinking of is she might retire, but who knows?
That's it, I suppose. Yeah. But I think we'll leave it there. Thanks again for coming on. Really appreciate it. Enjoyed hearing from you, your story, your plan going forward.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Apologies for the technical difficulties, but hopefully I'm hoping that won't continue on.
No worries.
Yeah, so take care, all the best.
See you later. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.